Good Friday afternoon, MYFA Nation. Hope all you guys are getting on right now. Excited to be here with you this evening as we are in the final week of 7-on-7 before the playoffs start. Man, we've had some exciting games. We got a lot of exciting games that are coming on tonight as well. We'll be talking about those games here in just a few minutes. But as always, if you are listening, please drop a L for live in the comments. Want to be interactive today? As you can see, it's just me today. I will give a kind of a heads up for next week. I confirmed just before the show. We will be having the MYFA president, Rob Houchin, in with us the next week. He's got some exciting information he's going to be bringing to share a little bit about some stuff we're going to be possibly doing for the offensive linemen this year, right here at the end of 7-on-7. And hey, Michelle, welcome. So we'll get some more MYFA information next week. And then, of course, we're about to lead right into tackle football season. And that being said, I do want to tell you guys, as MYFA Nation, thank you so much for allowing me to do this. I was listening back to some shows, and I haven't thanked you guys for allowing me to be a part of this. It's been a blast. We look forward to continuing it during the tackle football season, and we're going to keep going up until tackle. We'll start back up with our towns and things of that nature again. I believe we left off with Everman, and then Granbury will be coming in, so you can get to know them. But with that being said, guys, I've talked to a lot of these towns. Football signups are wide open. Some of them are already closing down because so many people have signed up. If you know somebody, and I know most of you listening have probably already signed up, but if you haven't, you probably should. But also, if you know somebody that's on the edge, you might want to tell them to go ahead and get involved and get signed up with their towns. So it's getting exciting around here. It's football time for sure. Draft was last night with the 24th pick. Your Dallas Cowboys selected Tyler Smith out of North Crowley High School / Tulsa. Here's my 30-second Cowboy talk, because I've had Happy Friday, Matt. Eaton closes their signups in 3 days. Holy cow. I mean, guys, that just tells you how quick they're filling up. Here's my 30-second Cowboy talk, and don't all hate me. I'm more than happy to hear y'all's comments about it. I thought they reached on the pick last night. I thought when Baltimore traded Hollywood Brown and went right behind him and got the center out of Iowa, I would have much rather had him. I think it would fill up the offensive line a little bit better. That's just my personal opinion as a long-term diehard Cowboy fan that I get made fun of for it. But at the same time, they got another draft tonight. Picks rounds 2 and 3 tonight. And now, please don't hate me when I say this, but I really hope they get Mechie, the receiver out of Alabama. I know he has a knee injury, but I think that kid is special. I'd love to see him paired up with CD and Gallup and all that good jazz. But that's just there's my Cowboy talk for all you guys in draft talk. But guys, what a time to be a sports fan in the Metroplex. Cowboys, Mavericks close out their series last night. If you're a basketball fan, Dallas Stars are in hockey. We won't talk about the Rangers. We'll bypass them and go straight to MYFA football that is live and is going. Super excited about that. As far as that goes. So once again, thank you guys for being on. I want to have an interactive show with you today. We got games to pick tonight. We've got Matt says, give me DeMarvin Leal. I think it's good. Michael Rodriguez likes the Smith pick. It wasn't a bad pick, Michael. It was just for me, I thought it was a little bit of a reach. I think they could have got him in the second round, my personal opinion. But that's just, my opinion on it. I know the experts are kind of across the board on there as far as that goes. But great night for football. Sydney Lee says, great night for football. I can't disagree with you at all. Fantastic night for football. We've got a lot of great games coming tonight. And man, once again, thank you guys for letting me be a part of this. One of the highlights of my night was last week is the Michelle Cooper, your team. I got to All Saints, and several of those boys came up giving me high fives, and it was so cool just to see them excited and ready to play. And man, to me, it just solidified everything that we're doing here at MYFA and what we're doing to grow the program, to grow the league. It was so cool to see them, talking to them about their game, and I'm getting to know your coaches and stuff like that, and just seeing all these great young men out there. And then I can't wait for these cheerleaders to get involved. I mean, it is going to be fantastic. But part of MYFA Live After the Whistle. We get some information sometimes that you probably wouldn't have heard. And so if the president is listening, I did not ask permission to share this, but I was privy to an email. There is a very big MYFA board meeting that is coming up May the 1st. The reason why this one is important is because this is the last meeting that if there's going to be any rule changes before the upcoming season, any rules adaptions. I know earlier in the year we talked about doing age versus grade, and there was a lot of debate on it, and pretty much a split room on that. I believe that issue may have been moved on, but it does have a chance to come back. But there is something that was proposed that I want to get the MYFA Nation's opinion about. I think it's an interesting thing. I think it's I understand why the proposal came out. I'm going to offer you guys my opinion about it. But, one of the things our town reps do for all of our towns, which we have a, great one in Burleson, Mr. Kevin Craig, they're there to speak for the towns and you guys and things of that nature. And so, I want to give you the opportunity to hear what's going to be on the table for the MYFA meeting on Sunday. I would love to hear your feedback. Of course, I'm going to offer my 2 cents, whether that's wanted or not. I mean, the good news is I'm the only one with a mic and no one can hit mute but me. So I'm going to offer my 2 cents on it. But we're going to talk a little bit about that MYFA meeting, and then we've got games to pick tonight. I'll go over my picks for last week. Pretty spot on with them. Little controversy game last week. Excuse me, I happen to be involved in that game. We'll talk about that a little bit. And controversy, something that me and Coach Holt didn't work out, but man, it was a fun game to be a part of. And I will tell you, I believe they got it right at the end of it. So for any of you Granbury people listening, I believe they got it right. And but we'll talk a little bit about what happened and how it was resolved here in just a few. But let's jump into the MYFA meeting this week, because I really want your opinion on this. They're going to be talking about several things. I'll kind of tell you the highlights. Some of the things they're going to be talking about is player and coaches ejections, how those appeals work. I was kind of reading through there. I don't want to misquote anything, and I have not got clarification from the MYFA executive board. If any of you guys are listening, feel free to make a comment or text me. But it's looking like that if there's an appeal made for an objection, it's going to cost about $150 to make the appeal. And I totally get this. I think that this is a great thing. Number one, we want a good, clean product. And I got to brag on MYFA and All Saints in the league here for a second. So this past Friday, I had a guest come out to MYFA, and it's actually the FCA. For those of you that don't know, I am involved with Fellowship of Christian Athletes. FCA is looking to put on a youth football tournament. So they called me up and they're like, hey man, I understand you're involved in this. Our problem is this: every time we go to some of these youth tournaments, towns, we can't get people to host them because the parents are rude, the kids are rude. There's, kids are getting cussed out on the field. Coaches are cussing out refs on the field. It turns into chaos. Are you guys different? I said, are we different? I mean, people get ejected. Now, I can't tell you that, there isn't that rowdy parent or rowdy coach every once in a while that doesn't flare up. But, MYFA's different. We have standards for our MYFA teams. And he said, man, I want to come out. Is that okay? And I said, yeah, I'll be at All Saints. Come on out. Walk around with me for a little bit at All Saints. And man, I got a call today, guys. And this is just hats off to you parents for the way you raise your kids. Hats off to the organization. He went back to FCA and said, guys, we have to find a way to get partnered up with MYFA. And we want to do a tournament with those type of kids there because they were respectful. They were competitive. The coaches, they really bragged on the coaches. And for you coaches, hats off to you. They talked about how, they would watch the coaches get on to the boys. They would, of course, they would be yelling at them some when stuff would happen, etc. But they weren't demeaning them. They weren't tearing them down. They were picking them up. And it felt good. And so high praise came from some high levels in FCA. I do plan on actually having Mr. Kim Butler on with us one day here in the show. Excuse me. And I'm sorry about my cough, guys. For those of you who don't know, I have a little bit of a heart condition. It causes my heart to beat in my throat sometimes. No, I am not nervous. It just acts up every once in a while, probably because I need to lose about 50 pounds, but I like cheeseburgers too much. But the reality of it is that is why I'm coughing as far as that goes. But Matt says FCA is a great organization. Matt, I can't agree more. I actually happen to be one of their character coaches. Man, what they're doing all across the Metroplex is huge right now. Matter of fact, FCA told me that this has been the largest year of growth, even before COVID, with people doing the FCA fellowship groups and breakout groups and stuff like that. So I hope to be announcing a potential tournament for all of our coaches to get involved in. They're talking about doing a 7-on-7 tournament and then also doing a tackle tournament. And it'll be kind of a rec style, and they're asking for guidance. So I'm going to partner them up with some people on the MYFA executive board and see if we can help them get that off. But back to the notes. I had to say that to you guys as parents and coaches out there. High praise coming from a very high organization. So appeals and objections, right? They're going to be talking about that. Game film requirements, as you guys may all know, MYFA records. You have to record every single game. It has to be uploaded by a certain time. I don't know what all those rules are going to entangle on that for this year, so I'm not going to speak on that yet, but I will as it comes out. And then new business, proposed 2020 MYFA playoff format. Where are we going to play our playoff games? They're going to be all turf. Can they be on grass? Player certification, the schedule, and MYFA commissioners. I'll touch on this MYFA commissioners right now. So it looks like MYFA is going to be expanding some from the executive team and start getting commissioners to help. I don't know what this is all going to entitle, but if you're interested in that, get a hold of MYFA. If you want to be a part of something big, my mom says you better lay off them cheeseburgers. You're absolutely right. If you want to get involved in something big, this is your chance. Okay. This is your absolute chance to do that. Please get a hold of someone on the executive team, with MYFA, Jack, Rob, Monica, Andy, T-Bell. I may be forgetting someone. Get involved, get a hold of them. Say, hey, I'd like to know what the qualifications for commissioners, what type of committees you're going to have. Because I can assure you they can use the help, and they may have already contacted some of you, but that's going to be a cool thing, guys. That means it's growing, right? If you've got to have commissioners and things of that nature, that means our league is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And bigger is good for two things. Number one, it's good for competition, which is great. Number two, the reason why our league getting bigger is it's going to bring more opportunities for us to sow into more young people's lives. And that's what we want. I mean, that's what we're all here for. So that's kind of the stuff they're going to cover. But there is one, I think it's a big thing that I want to get your opinion on tonight. There has been a proposal by Brock. And I'm going to read what they laid out in their proposal. So for you guys that don't know, the way this works is if someone has a proposal for addendum to a rule or a rule change, etc., things of that nature, what they will do is they'll type it out in an email. They'll send it to the executive committee, and then it gets put on the business for the town reps to come in and vote. The town reps will talk to the organizations about it, and so they'll get a little bit of feedback. But you know what? I want to talk to you about it. I want to talk to MYFA Nation about it, and I want to get an idea of what you think of it as parents. And there are town reps that watch and listen to this show. It might help them decide which direction to go on this when they, I believe they're voting on it this week. They would have to vote on it this week, because after this week, there can be no changes to the tackle football rules. And so I say that also is, if you're listening to the show tonight, number one, drop an L for live. But number two, if you got something that you think that MYFA should look at, drop it in here. I'll mention it on the show, and we'll go from there. So let's talk about this. Brock's amendment. Brock wrote this in their email. I'll paraphrase some of it. But in keeping with MYFA's motto of putting the children first and the sports second, Brock is proposing shortening the lengthening of the season by 2 total games. In addition to the proposal currently laid on the table to delay the start of the season by 1 week due to the average heat index of August, we propose to eliminate 1 regular season game as well as decrease the playoffs by 1 game. With the current bylaws, the length of season is longer than junior high school programs in the state and is just as long as some high school programs that make it into the playoffs. We think this is in the best interest of the league to shorten the overall season and make it more in line with junior high school football. Below are the suggested changes to the regular season schedule and championship brackets. So this is their changes. There will be at least an 8-game schedule plus the playoff and championship series. The MYFA football season they have would run August the 15th through November the 19th, with games beginning September the 10th through November the 19th. The regular season, here's how they would come up with the schedule in the regular season. Scheduling committee, so going back to those commissioners, I assume that would be like the scheduling commissioners committee, would work to balance out the schedules to the best of their ability based off of previous records, strength of schedule, and evenly spread out incoming towns throughout the division. They do say that there's unfortunately one grade that they'd have to guess at, which first grade, because obviously you can base it off a flag, but really, it's hard to get first grade and flag ranking. So to break that down, what that would be is in the regular season, they would work together and evenly to spread out the top teams to the bottom teams. One of the ways that they would do that, there would be 2 total divisions that would be in there. Well, that'll be the playoffs. I'll get to that in just a second. So the way they would do that is I would assume off of last year's standing. So if you've got, we'll just take last year's 5th grade going into 6th grade. You had Brock that won the Super Bowl. White Settlement was the runner-up in the Super Bowl. Obviously, those two teams would be delayed or be on separate sides of the bracket, and then you probably have your championship runners up in there, and then et cetera, and you would backfill to make sure the competition is even. And so that's the first proposal of the regular season of how it will work. In the playoffs, there would be 2 total divisions in there. This is so we can get a lot more teams that would be going into the playoffs. They'd be labeled Division 1 and Division 2. The top 8 teams would be placed in Division 1 bracket with the max of 3 games for the Super Bowl. Division 2 would be the lower 8 teams. And then the remaining 17 teams would play a 1-game consolation, and that would ensure all teams get a playoff game and 9 games total for the season. But we would group them in series. I don't want to go over their rounds and stuff like that because it's some stuff to work through, and I don't want to throw that out there and I get that wrong. And what I may do is have T-Bell come on the show if it does get passed and kind of explain, how he was going about thinking about in the city of Brock. Maybe we'll have all of them on to explain it. But I think you get the gist of it, right? I think you get the gist of what it is. So let me take to the comments here. Michelle Cooper says yes with about 6 hand claps, or either that or she's high-fiving me. So high five back to you. Matt says delaying the season a week or 2 would be fine. Michelle follows up with Matt says season is at least 1 to 2 weeks long for these little guys and the little girls. So great comments. I know there's more than just Matt and Michelle listening. So if you have a chance, now if you're driving, obviously don't make comments, but if you're not driving, I would like to hear from you on here. And speaking of that, just before I give my 2 cents on this matter, one of the things that we may be looking at doing at the end of 7 on 7, I'm going to get with the executive committee. We might be looking at moving the show back or to a different day. Number 1, to help our kids get here, but number 2, to help it be a little more interactive with parents. So we'll see what happens with that. If we can come up with different days or something like that, tackle football season. And you've seen some of our guests in here being kids and stuff. We absolutely want to continue that. That's what this show is all about. So stay tuned for that. We'll let you know at the end of 7 on 7. Matt followed up. Michelle says, that's what I've suggested for scheduling before. It's the same as the Premier League soccer that the UK does. So it sounds like we've got a couple of people for it. So I'm going to take a different approach, Matt and Michelle and anybody else looking. When I first read this, my instant gut reaction was, maybe it could work. And great point of longer than a junior high season. But then as I started looking about it, I'm going to take it from a financial approach to towns. And then I'm also going to take it from the kids' approach, and I'm going to try to squeeze this in 7 minutes if we can. I don't think you go wrong either way except for the financial aspect of it. So I don't know all the town's dynamics and makeups, but I will speak for the town of Burleson because I happen to be a board member for Burleson. Cutting out 2 games, but for sure 1. We can't, I can't really say that 2 games will be cut out of Burleson's schedule because we don't know if Burleson will be hosting a playoff game or not. But cutting out 1 regular season game for a town that is a non-for-profit that is not sponsored by their city. So I know some towns have the city resources behind them. Other towns are just, they're like Burleson. And so with us here at Burleson, a brief overview, everything that happens, for instance, today got a text message. Our fence, well, number one, our fence already looked bad, but it looks like 2 trucks try to drive through it and break through. That didn't happen. Wind blown. Maybe people, we're partnered a parking lot with the church, hit it. Not sure, but we've getting quotes out there right now. We're talking anywhere between, to fix that entire fence line to just make it look respectable out there, between $4,000 and $6,000. The second thing Burleson had to do, we lost a lot of our lights here. That was, not to tell all of Burleson's business, but I just signed the check for almost $10,000 to fix those things. One game for Burleson, one game for us here in Burleson, when you have a game and gate and concessions, it makes a couple of $1,000s for the organization. I cannot tell you how huge that is for in the off season when we need to do repairs. Now, I'll tell you what fixes this, parents. Okay. More donations. But the reality of it is these towns that aren't supported by that are not supported by the cities where they can pick up the phone and I don't know how it works for towns that are supported the city, so I'm not trying to assume this here, but I know we do have a city run league in Burleson, and like for us to mow our grass, right? It costs us almost $4,000 a year to mow our grass. And that right there is one Saturday game. And when you only get 9 of them, maybe you get lucky and get a playoff game. That's really, really important. And so from a financial aspect, with what we're pouring into the kids, I look at it and I go, okay, a shortened schedule, I can see how it benefits the kids a little bit, but does one regular season game and one playoff game completely hurt them? I have yet to hear a kid complain that a season is too long. And going back to the age versus grade thing, they talked about, competition, etc., and physicality and stuff like that of taking care of the kid's body. To me, that would be more of taking care of a kid's body than shorten the season for 2 games. So I'm coming at it from a financial aspect of, I don't know that I would be in favor for it. As a matter of fact, I will just tell you, I have voiced my opinion to our town rep of, I don't like it. Now, once again, I'm the financial guy in Burleson. I'm the treasurer here. So my job is to help look and make sure we have the money to facilitate stuff. And when I see that revenue loss, number one, even if that revenue is lost and we use those for scholarships, and every town has scholarships of kids, that's less kids that's going to get to play. So for the financial aspect, I don't know that is the right decision to make for Burleson. This is what's so cool about MYFA, by the way, guys. This is why we have a vote. And this is why we have multiple towns, because I totally get for other towns how it could be fantastic. I'm going to tell you, as a parent and as a coach, I love the idea of the season starting in September. It's cooler. I remember 2 years ago, a game that we played. I mean, it was so hot, people were passing out in the stands. Maybe could be some things about rules about that. I don't know. I think there are rules about that. I'll kind of leave that off to the side for a later date. But that's my opinion on the shortening of the season, and also the season starting later. I'd love the happy medium. Season start later, but we still have it. Now, I know that's going to push us into Thanksgiving, which could also be hard. Let me get to some of these comments here. Matt says splitting each grade in half by last year's record would make for better competition down the league. I don't think you're wrong on that. Michelle says, I'm sure other towns could possibly end up other towns that could possibly end up hosting could give all the proceeds that week towards Burleson and other such associations. Michelle, that's a good idea. I mean, but once again, those proceeds for those towns, that means they're out, so somebody's going to be out. Sydney Lee says, I agree 100%. Financially isn't the best of all leagues because the leagues don't make money off of signups. And that's where I'm coming at from it. It's just from the financial standpoint. And I could not tell you guys, I had a couple text messages here, do you know how many leagues are city ran? I don't know the answer to that. I do not know how many are city ran or how many are, I'm just going to call it privately ran. That's probably the wrong wording, but self-funded. How about we use that? I don't know the answer to that right now. But I think that's something that needs to be in consideration. And that's why for me personally, when I first read this, I understand it. Now, I will say this about heat and stuff like that. That's no joke in August. For any of us that have been here for a while, I get where Brock's coming from on the heat and all that stuff. That is no joke. And I know there's some rules about MYFA in that towns are supposed to abide by with the heat index of not playing / practicing only shorts and shirts and helmet. A matter of fact, that'll be a question that we'll ask Rob, and maybe we can get some more of the MYFA executive team here next week, and they can answer what those rules are supposed to be, so you parents know that going in. As far as the playoffs and scheduling format, I'm with Matt. I love the idea of a scheduling in a playoff committee that makes it fair. We shouldn't have divisions that there's runaway winners. Now, look, that may happen, but the reality of it is, I love the idea of taking your Super Bowl winner and runner-up, putting them one place, champions, runner-up, one place, backfilling top half, bottom half of the league. I like the idea of two separate divisions in the playoffs. I love the fact that all the kids get a chance to play. I'm not a second place trophy type guy, but I like the idea of maybe a consolation playoff winner, and that's just my wording. That was not Brock's, just so you know. And then there'd be the Super Bowl winner, because all these kids work their tails off in the regular season. So anything we can get them to get out there. That is my 2 cents on that. We'll kind of pick back up a little bit when we come back after the break, but we've got games to pick tonight. If you have a comment on this, please make it in the break, and we'll get back to it. MYFA Live after the whistle. Thanks.
Let's be honest, wheelchairs are heavy, bulky, and ugly. If you carry a wheelchair in your car to take care of a loved one, you know how hard it is getting that clunky, old-style wheelchair in and out of your car. Introducing the Feathershare Wheelchair. At 13 pounds, it's the world's lightest wheelchair. It folds in seconds and fits neatly in your trunk, backseat, or closet, so you can take it everywhere. And it's only available right here. Order yours today and get a free wheelchair case, a $50 value, yours free. The Featherchair, the world's lightest wheelchair, is just $4.99 with easy payments as low as $16 a month. Sorry, no Medicare or insurance accepted. So call right now to order yours.
800-823-5826. 800-823-5826. 800-823-5826. That's 800-823-5826.
Hey, there's something you forgot to do. It sure is hot. Are you sweating like a dog? Wait, what? Dogs don't sweat. Oh no, you forgot to get your window tinted. Whether it's the kitchen window that sits in the sun for the hottest part of the day, or you just got new wheels, call Sharp Window Tinting in Burleson. 817-615-9379, or look them up on the web, sharpwindowtint.com.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395.
You're listening to Joco Community Radio.
All right, quick break. I got some water for those of you that can see to try to help my coughing a little bit. Let me go through a quick commercial break, and we're going to jump right back into our topic and pick some games for tonight. Joco Community Radio is proud to be the voice of Johnson County, Texas, and is on the live 365 TuneIn Radio Network. To listen or watch, simply go to tuneinjoco.com to choose where and how. The Joco Community Radio app is now available for free on your Android and Apple devices. All you got to do is search Joco in your store. Check out our lineup and more at jococommunityradio.com. This episode and more is brought to you by Patriot Claims, making your insurance work for you. Reach out to your Texas sales rep, Nona Reed, at 844-TEXT-HELL. That's 844-839-4245. Also by Versus Sports. For you guys out there, if you need apparel, uniforms, spirit wear, Versus Sports, 817-308-6064. Reach out to those guys. I'll pick up on a couple of comments on here, and then I'm going to try to transition to the games because I want to get to these games this week. But Sydney says, but it'd be nice to push back a week for temperatures. So we were talking about the Brock proposal and pushing the schedule back a little bit and shortening games. Obviously, I gave my 2 cents on it, and won't reiterate that for the sake of time. Mike says need some of that Texas heat up here in Boston. And he says go Elks. So up there working in Boston. And then Matt says he wants 2 separate divisions for the regular season. We got way too many 30-0 games throughout the season. It's the best way to have competitive football the entire season. Matt, I don't disagree with you. We need to have some divisions that teams get tested all the way through, and then they get playoff tested. And I absolutely love that idea. And so I'm anxious to see what happens at the meeting this Sunday with this. I think it's an excellent proposal by Brock. I think it's keeping the kids first. I know Brock's pretty new to our league. What I will say on the heat and things of that nature. I know Brazos Valley has been, in that for a long, long time. I also know that, some of these other football teams have been doing this. Brock probably themselves have, but I think it's an excellent proposal, and I am very anxious to see. If you're listening, get with your town rep or get with your board, and let them know how you favor that if you haven't already. That is a good thing. Michelle says a competitive and a rec division is the way to go. As big as MYFA is getting, Michelle, I could see MYFA going that way in the future. I don't know if it's this year, but I could see that. I could really see that happening for football. So let me get my picks out here. Oh, I'm excited about tonight. We've got big games tonight, y'all. Playoff implications are on the line. Man, I've got my schedule. I got my notes. We're going to kick it off with second grade like we always do. So let me read your standings to you guys for 7-on-7. And this is the final week going in. Excuse me. Goodness gracious. I believe second grade is completely locked down with what's going to happen. It seems to be a 2-team race between Azel and Alito. But you got first place Azel, second place Alito, Granbury Edwards, third place Granbury Insbinger, fourth place Peastern, fifth, and Midlothian in sixth. But 1 through 5 are pretty heavily dominating in this division. We have a great game tonight in second grade. In our second grade game tonight, we have Alito versus Azel. That is being played in Alito. These 2 teams have played before. And the game before was 10-8 with Azel taking the victory. Man, that's that's the only loss that Alito has. And I've said this before. I know this second grade team, a little bit of them. I shouldn't say I know them all, but I know a little bit of them. They're a scrappy team, so I had no doubt it was a defensive game. When I'm looking at the numbers going through here, they are almost dead even. 219 points scored for Azel, 72 points against. Alito, 231 points scored, 60 points against. Here's what I think happens in second grade tonight. I think Alito wins this to make it 1-1. These 2 teams, I believe, are meeting in the championship, and I will do my playoff predictions next week when the schedule is set. But I think Alito evens this up tonight. It makes it 1-1. I think it's low scoring again. I said it the first game. I'm going to say it this game. I believe it comes down to a turnover, if not 2. And that's what's going to decide the game. I'm going Alito 14, Azel 10 tonight. And I think this becomes 1-1 in the series. I believe that would put Alito in first place, which is big. First place is really big. When you look at how the playoff bracket is broke down, just to kind of reiterate for you guys, when you look at the playoff bracket, it's not your traditional, 3 plays 6, 4 plays 5. It's 3 and 5 and 4 and 6, and then 1 plays the winner of 4 and 6. And 2 plays the winner of 3 and 5, because we can't reseed by while the games are going on Friday night. So the 1 seed is important. I think this becomes a 1-1 tie, and we're going to get the tiebreaker in the championship game of 7-on-7, which is just going to be awesome. It's just going to be fantastic. I love this division, the second grade division. That's why I always start off with it. I am not counting out Granbury Edwards or Insminger or Peaster. I actually picked Peaster to win a couple of games last week, and they didn't come through. So as I kind of look at this, I really believe that this is starting to kind of settle itself in. But for the rest of you teams that played, great season this season. Go out and finish strong tonight. Pull you off an upset, and we're anxious to see. Moving on to third grade. You got Brock Elliott and Alito Davis, Midlothian Robinson. Those are your top 3 teams, and there's no doubt about it. But 4, 5, 6, and 7. You've got Alito Scott at 7-3, Alito Hanson at 7-3, White Settlement Ellis at 6-4, Granbury Westbrook at 6-4. Your 1 through 5 seeds are locked. I don't see that changing tonight. I believe that both of those teams are going to take care of business, Alito Scott and Alito Hanson. I believe tonight what we're looking for is what happens between White Settlement Ellis and Granbury Westbrook. So they do not play each other tonight. So let me tell you who White Settlement Ellis has to play tonight. Their first game is against the undefeated Brock Elliott. Unfortunately, I think White Settlement Ellis has a nice team, but they give up too many points. They have 198 points scored with 175 points against, versus that Brock Elliott team has 305 points scored and only 35 points against. Guys, I'm telling you, they're 50 points better on defense than any team. And look, this is going into the last week. This is absolutely going into the last week of the month or the season. This isn't a fluke number. These guys are good on defense. So I'm going Brock Elliott to win that game tonight. But then White Settlement Ellis, they play a Burleson team that has not been very good. So I think they win that game. I think they're going to go 1-1, and White Settlement Ellis is going to finish at 7-5. Now we go to Granbury Westbrook. Their first game they have against Midlothian Prelip. I hope I pronounced that right. Look, I think this is no contest. I think Westbrook wins this game. Westbrook gives up a lot of points. They've given up 171 to 191 score, but Midlothian Prep, they've struggled this season. They've only scored 55 total points and given up 184. So I've got Granbury Westbrook winning that game. And then Granbury Westbrook plays Midlothian Robinson. It's kind of the reverse schedule of White Settlement. They have the hard game up first, and then they got a lighter game in Burleson. Granbury Westbrook has the lighter game up first and the harder game second. Midlothian Robinson only has 1 loss to Brock Elliott. Point differential of almost 100 points. I've got to go with Midlothian Robinson in this game. Granbury Westbrook's going to finish at 7-5, and because of that, because of the way the tiebreaker breaks down, from my understanding, White Settlement Ellis has beat Granbury Westbrook. White Settlement Ellis is going to clinch the 6th seed tonight, and that was just kind of for what I looked at. If Granbury Westbrook has already beat White Settlement Ellis, they'll obviously clinch it. But the way it's wrote down, I believe that White Settlement Ellis already beat them, and I think your 6th seed is going to be White Settlement Ellis. Granbury Westbrook, that's nothing to take away from you guys, just a battle and a fight all year long. But here's the deal. This is the cool thing about football. I understand Brock Elliott's lost 0 games, and I understand Midlothian Robinson has only lost 1 game. Okay? But here's what I'll kind of tell you about Granbury Westbrook. They've scored 191 points, Midlothian Robinson 202. Offensively, on paper, these guys are close. It's defensively that there's a difference, but Olafie Robinson's only given up 108 points versus Westbrook 171. If I'm going to give a team a chance to run the table tonight, it's going to be Granbury Westbrook. For those of you that pull for the underdog, I believe they have the best chance of going 2-0 tonight to finish at 8-4, which would vault them up to that 6th seed. And if you're listening, Granbury Westbrook, that's what you got to do tonight. You have to do that tonight. You have to win both of those games, and you have to jump up. I've got confidence you can do it. That's what you need tonight. But my picks, just we've been missing Victor. I actually text Rob and asked, Victor's been silent and you've been silent. Is that a coincidence? I believe Rob, our president, is Victor. But that's okay. We got Victor the Predictor's locks, and then our Victor the Predictor, and then we have Mike's locks. And so I'm willing to go toe to toe with Victor with my locks. I'm feeling pretty good about them tonight, and for this season, I feel pretty good about them. All right, we're jumping to the 4th grade, the hottest division in my opinion in MYFA football next year for tackle. I'm just telling you guys, get out and watch some of these kids play. There are studs everywhere in this 4th grade. I'm going to say it again. This is a 2-team race between Cooper and Barrett. That's Alito Cooper, who I appreciate being interactive with the show. And then Burles and Barrett. Alito Cooper holds the edge from the head-to-head meeting. And I believe this is just a 2-horse race. And Alito Cooper, I'm just going to say this about them, is really closing the gap on points scored. And defensively, they've actually got a better defensive number than Burleson now, with only giving up 59 points against. My pick next week for the playoffs, that's going to be hard. And I might say my championship picks till the week of the championship are till late in the day, because Alito Cooper, I've been watching that team, and honestly, after having them in studio, great group of individuals. But I'll tell you this, Burles and Barrett's out for some revenge. Now, that's not to say some other teams in this division. So I've kind of put some teams out here that we need to watch for tonight, because in the 5th and 6th seed and the 7th seed, we've got Alito Chisholm 6-4, Eaton Hatfield 6-4, and Granbury at 5-5. So we've got some folks that are right here battling. We've got 3 teams battling for 2 spots right now. And so Eaton Hatfield tonight, they've got Midlothian, who's 7-3. That's a big game tonight, guys. That is a really big game tonight, because if Hatfield can beat Midlothian, that's going to knock Midlothian into a chase tonight for that 6th seed. And then they have Eaton Ellis, and that Eaton Ellis team. I believe that they're going to be okay with those guys. So I'm going to take Eaton Hatfield. I can't pick against. I'm going to do it. Eaton Hatfield's going to beat Midlothian tonight. I believe that. I believe they're going to beat Midlothian tonight, and then they're going to take care of business getting Eaton Ellis. Unfortunately, Eaton Ellis doesn't have a win right now. Maybe a little bit of a younger team in this ultra competitive division, but I think Eaton Hatfield's going to go 2-0 tonight, and they're going to jump in, and they're actually going to slide all the way up to the number 4 spot. Alito Chisholm, they've got a Granbury team, and that's a big game, because if Granbury beats them, all of a sudden they've got the same record. And then they have Alito Hightower. I think Alito Chisholm is going to beat Granbury, and I think they're going to lose to Alito Hightower. I know these guys know each other. I like the Hightower team. I think that they're an underrated team in this division, sometimes even looked over a little bit. But I'm going to take Alito Chisholm to go 1-1. But I think they're going to eliminate Granbury from the playoffs, because Granbury, unfortunately, they got a tough Alito Chisholm team, and they've got Alito Cooper. I do not see Granbury beating Alito Cooper tonight. I think Alito Cooper absolutely takes care of business tonight with both of their games. But I think that, Granbury, I think you've had a great season in the 4th grade, but I believe that tonight you're just going to run into a little bit of powerhouses tonight that are chugging along to the playoffs. I do expect a shakeup in the fourth grade division. I really think that Eaton's going to move into that fourth spot, which is going to then look at Alito, Chisholm, and Midlothian, who has the better records and points for. You could see Alito, Chisholm stay in the fifth spot and Midlothian go to 6. You could see Alito, Chisholm drop down to 6 and Midlothian be at 5, or you could see Midlothian stay just where it is and 1 through 6 stay the same. But I think there's going to be a little shakeup tonight. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. The bottom can shake up, but it doesn't matter. Michael Rodriguez says he's Victor the Predictor. Boy, if you're Victor Predictor, you got some explaining to do. Where have you been? But this is a 2-horse race here. And but I think it's going to be really fun to see what happens tonight. Excited to see where it goes. All right, we're moving on to 5th grade. 5th grade, you've got some. Let me talk a little bit just for a second of what happened in 5th grade game, because I was a part of it last week for those of you that don't know. So we had a game, my team, Burleson Moore, we were playing Granbury Moreno. What a fun game. We went back and forth. It came down to the wire. My team had the ball. We went down and scored, and the referee told me after we scored, he said, "You're going for 2, right? You need that to tie." Now, in my head, I thought we were down for 3. I wanted to go for the 1 and put the defense out and try to force Granbury to run a couple of plays because Granbury had had a pick on us earlier in the game. But that was the way my mind was working. I asked the ref, I said, "Wait a second, we need 2 to tie?" He said, "Yes, you need 2 to tie." I said, "Are you sure?" He says, "Yes." We go for 2. We get the 2. And I'm, of course, super excited about it. Obviously, Coach Ben Holt, who is a friend of mine on the other side of the field, they're a little bit confused. We meet at midfield, him and I talking. The unfortunate part about it, when we did score and go for 2, there was about 3 minutes left, according to what the ref told me, which means that they would have had to run at least 1 or 2 plays. Now, I'm not saying that we would have picked the ball off or whatever, but I believe we would have. But, they would have had to run a couple plays. But because of the confusion that was caused by the referees, our time ran out because we spent that 3 to 5 minutes at midfield calculating up the score. The ref kept saying it was tied. Ben assured me that it was not tied. We went back and forth on it, and needless to say, I conceded the defeat to Ben at midfield because even talking to one of my coaches and talking to some of the parents, they said, no, we were down by 1. Instead of making a big controversy about it, and I'll be honest, guys, we could have. I could have said, hey, the ref said it's tied. We're going to overtime and see what happens. But so a little controversy that happened out there. But you know what? One of the things that I thought about standing out the field, we always talk to these kids and as coaches about their character. And, when I started kind of getting the information that our parents and coaches believe that we were down by 1, it would not have been the right thing for me to do to force that game to overtime and potentially cost them a loss. So they wound up winning that game, and hats off to them. It was so fun. If you got a chance to watch it, number one, the wind was howling, but we had the wind going with us. So both teams were just going back and forth, and I hope we get the opportunity to see them in the playoffs. But in your 5th grade division tonight, we do have a battle for the 6th place. We have Crowley at 4-6 and Burleson Tubbs at 4-6. What I know about the Burleson Tubbs team is they unfortunately had to forfeit 2 games because of sickness of players being out sick. And that's really hurt them right now. If they would have went 1-1 in one of those games and go 1-1 tonight, they would have a chance to get into the playoffs. But here's what we got for 5th grade. Crowley has the toughest team in our division, and in my opinion, I think this Stephenville team could play up with some of the 6th grade teams. But they've got Stephenville first tonight. I think Stephenville is going to win that game. And then they got Cleburne Derrick tonight. Unfortunately, they have not won a game yet. So I think Crowley's going 1-1 tonight. I think they're going to be 5-7 at the end of the night. And then the Burleson Tubbs, they have Cleburne Oakley, who they played at the very beginning of the season and won 27-0. I think they win that game. And then they're playing the other Burleson team. Here's what I could tell you about the other Burleson team. These 2 teams play each other in practice every night. I say every night. Every night we practice. We practice twice a week. The kids are very familiar with each other. that's a toss-up game that I'm not going to pick tonight. But Burleson Tubbs has to win them both to get into the playoffs, because Crowley has beat Burleson Tubbs in the head-to-head. And so they have to win them both to get into the playoffs. I won't pick their last game. If you get a chance to come out and watch that game at All Saints, you should, because I mean, these are two teams just like the two Granbury teams when they played. I mean, it was a tight game, and Granbury Moreno actually wound up beating Granbury Rice. Those two teams play each other in practice all the time, same as our teams. And so that's going to be exciting to see tonight. So I do think Crowley could pull the upset. Crowley seems to be sliding a little bit in the 5th grade division the past couple of weeks. They got a lot of talent over there, so it will not shock me for them to put it together either. It won't shock me at all. They've got the talent. I know when we played against them just a couple of weeks ago, it was there. You know, we were fortunate by some drop passes that they had and stuff like that to come out with the victory. That team's got talent on there. Now, I don't know if they had some folks absent. You know, I know we've got a lot going on with our kids this day and age, but they kind of slid the past couple of weeks. But I think they rebound and go 1-1 tonight. But would it shock me if they beat Stephenville? Not at all. Not at all. That wouldn't shock me at all. Now our 6th grade division. So usually when I get to 6th grade, I only have like a minute left. I purposely kind of got through some of these other grades because I want to spend a few minutes on the 6th grade division as we get into the games tonight. Fun games tonight. What I'll say about this division, 1 through 6 is wrapped up. You could see a change at Alito and Crowley at the bottom of it. I need to ask how Crowley has one tie, because no games in 7-7 are supposed to end in a tie. But right now your 1st seed is Godley, 2nd seed Eaton Diggs, 3rd seed Burleson Adrian, 4th seed Eaton Miller, 5th seed Alito, and 6th seed is Crowley. Eaton's at 4-6, Cleburne's 4-6, Burleson Clark 3-7, Joshua 3-7, Mahaffey 1-9, and Eaton Barnes 0-9-1. And so here's what I 1 through 6 is settled, but this division, 6th grade, to me is a lot like the 4th grade division. I believe this is coming down to a 2-team race, but so Godley has a gauntlet tonight. These games, let me see where these games are being played at tonight. I believe they're being played at Crowley tonight. No, they're being played in Eaton tonight. Listen, if you don't have nothing to do tonight, you should probably go watch some fun 6th grade football. It was said earlier in our comments. By the way, if you're listening, drop an L so we know. If you have some predictions on these games, please drop them in there tonight. I just got a comment. I'm going to assume that this is our fearless leader. Rob says coaches and officials not knowing the rules. That's how it happened. And I believe that was week 1. You know, everybody was still trying to figure that stuff out. But if you don't have nothing to do tonight and you want to see some firepower, Godley has Burleson Adrian to play first, and then they're playing Eaton Diggs. Now they already played Eaton Diggs one. That game ended in a 32-31 or 33-32. I don't remember what the score was. Godley victory. It was super close. Okay, so I'm going to pick these games. I think Godley. Here's the deal. I absolutely love the Burleson Adrian team. They were in here in studio last week. They're a good football team, well-coached football team. But in the 6th grade level, we're kind of seeing that skill move a little bit. And I just think that Godley and Eaton Diggs have just 1 or 2 more skill players that Burleson Adrian don't. Not saying that an upset couldn't happen tonight, because when they've played, it's been really close. But the Godley Burleson game, I'm going Godley 32, Burleson 24. I believe Godley's going to take care of business to set up a rematch. And I believe just like the 2nd grade division, we're going to have a new 1-1 split. I think Diggs is going to win this game 34-30. And now that series is about to be 1-1. Now here's the difference between the 2nd grade and the 6th grade. I firmly believe as playoff time comes that Burleson Adrian can win it all. And the reason why that I believe Burleson Adrian can win it all is I know how they prepare. Okay. I believe that they can win it all. I definitely believe that. So I'm not going to completely say that this is a 2-team race in the 6th grade division. But what I am going to tell you, if you want to see the ball going all over the place tonight, fast, skillful youth football, get yourself out to Eaton tonight. It's going to be fun to watch. And trust me when I tell you, all the kids of these games that I named off, they all know what's at stake tonight. Any place you go to, you're going to see some great football tonight of these games that I've called out. We got games in Alito, 2nd grade division, great games. We got games at All Saints, your 5th and 4th grade division, great games. We all over the Metroplex tonight. MYFA is showing out tonight, folks. Get there. I believe tonight we solidify dominance of divisions. Next week is playoff weeks. But guys, if you're not excited about what's happened going on with MYFA after some of these games, you're missing the boat. I'm telling you, MYFA is going to a whole nother level. And this is maybe only a quarter of our teams. Just wait till the fall. I can't wait to pick games in the fall. It's going to be exciting. Guys, I'm telling you, you want to be there tonight. You've got my picks. You've got Mike's locks for tonight. Do not gamble. If you do, gamble responsibly. Just kidding. Nobody go out and gamble on Pee Wee football games, okay? I don't want to see something in the news of that. But you got Mike's locks tonight. Mark them down. It's going to happen. That's going to be your winners tonight. And we're about to have some fun for the last regular season week of Metroplex Youth Football 7-on-7. We'll see you next week for the playoffs.
From Burleson to Venus and Grandview to Godley, this is the voice of Johnson County, JOCO Community Radio.